Hi, welcome to RSCV. I'm Joe, not Richard Simons. He's on holiday, so I get to have a go in front of the camera. Today we're going to do a bit of a comparison between a Model S75 rear-wheel drive, which is a facelift, and a Model S85 rear-wheel drive, which is a pre-facelift. So we're going to look at the efficiency, we're going to look at the charging times, and we're going to look at the estimated range and just how they perform, and perhaps discuss some of the differences between the vehicles of these two different eras. So we finished charging here. Both cars now charged to 90%. The S85 showing a range of 206 miles, and the S75 showing a range of 205. So pretty much exactly the same, perfect for the next leg of our test. We're going to drive to Membry, where we'll get a bit of lunch and a coffee, and we'll then compare the efficiency of the vehicle. So here we are at Membry, 67 miles from Bristol Supercharger where we started. Looking at a comparison of watt hours per mile usage, the S75 is more efficient at 285, whereas the 85 actually 329. So yeah, at first look, this seems to be the most efficient car by some way, but we are wondering if that could be to do with the 21-inch wheels or perhaps the suspension setting of the air suspension. So we'll have a bit of a play around with that on the next leg of our journey. Next thing to do is to see how they compare on their charge rate. So that's what we're here for. So both cars plugged into charge, and we've decided to charge them between 60 and 90% because that's probably where the rate will slow the most. So we'd be able to see the biggest difference. They're going to charge that a bit quicker if they're depleted. So that's the tactic we've employed, just to see, how much you might expect to wait when charging under those circumstances, which is, as I say, where most of the waiting you will do, most of the decline in speed will be. Okay, so we're ready for the next leg of our journey, which is back to headquarters in Bournemouth. Both cars charging, quite a difference. This car took some minutes, I don't know how many Gins?
50.
50 minutes, 50. And then the S75 took some more minutes.
35.
35. It's a good job I've got my memory here in the form of Gins. So quite a difference, both to get back to 90%. So now off we go, next leg of the journey, and we'll just see how they compare in terms of their efficiency and range again like last time. And then when we get back to the unit, we'll have a bit of a chat about the differences between pre-facelift and facelift. Some of you might already know this, but it's interesting to talk about. And a lot of people do often ask us, why would I get a Model S versus a brand new Model 3 or vice versa? A long standard range Model 3 is going to achieve similar range to both these cars. So, there's options there that some people often ask about, so thought we'd give it a bit of a look into.
Joe said earlier the displayed range is quite similar. There's, I think, 1 mile difference between them, which is pretty cool. But let's see how they actually compare acceleration wise. So Joe's gonna come next to me. We're gonna do 50 miles an hour up to speed limit, so nothing crazy. And yeah, let's see how they compare. 3, 2, 1, go. And the old S85 for the win. So there we go. Old S85 is a tiny bit faster than the facelift 75. Interesting. They're both really nippy. They're both quick cars. But yeah, old S85 wins this one.
Okay, so the total journey was 142 miles, and the 75 gave a good account of itself, I think. Average watt hour per mile was 267, with kilowatt hours used 37.8, and we ended up with 61% of the battery remaining. It's worth mentioning that today's journey was really optimum for the cars. The temperature was between 20 and 24 degrees. No adverse weather at all, and most of the roads we were driving on were really nice, good dual carriageways, A roads and motorway, and we made great progress. We weren't held up, no traffic jams or anything. So like I say, optimum conditions for the cars, so unsurprising that they were very efficient, I think, and obviously our excellent driving would have helped. So based on our calculations, given this information, we think if we'd have carried on driving in the same way, this car would have achieved 244 miles of range, which is more than respectable for a 75 battery pack, I would suggest. So let's go and have a look and see what the 85 came up with. Okay, so in the 85, our faithful battle wagon that we've driven all over the country, I think every one of us has put a good few miles in this car, so we all know it really well. And it gave a pretty good account of itself, I would say. Average energy, watt hours per mile, 295, with a total of 41.9, so 42 kilowatt hours used on today's escapade. And we reckon therefore that on this run, if we'd carried on driving it, we should have achieved something like 224 miles, I think it was. We worked out, was it Gints? I think so, yeah, he's sort of nodding. So yeah, 20 miles less range than the 75. So not as efficient. It's got a bigger battery. Just quite how much of that is usable versus the 75, I can't comment on right here. But a question we do get asked a lot is, you know, why would I consider buying an older Model S versus a Model 3 standard range? The Model 3 standard range has got a 55 kilowatt battery, and that we think is good for about a couple of hundred miles in the conditions of today. So both these cars will achieve similar range. The other thing to mention is the charging times. The standard range will be really quick. The Model S75 managed to charge, its overall charge time was about 15 minutes less than the 85, so pretty rapid charging, and it would have meant that if I'd left Membry when I was ready, I'd have beaten Gints home by about 15-20 minutes, but it's not a life-changing amount of time really. So, you know, why I would say they do stack up very well versus a standard range, because you're getting similar amount of range. Cost-wise, this car's currently got, I think it's got close to 90,000 miles on it. I would suggest it's probably going to retail for about 27-ish. The 75 there is going to be around the 35,000 mark. And then, you know, just under 40 will get you a standard range. So warranties and stuff notwithstanding, you will get a bigger car with more load space, more boot space and a hatchback. You will still have remaining warranty on the battery and drivetrain, and a little bit more of a luxurious feel. Certainly the facelift car with its updated next-gen seats, with the slightly more luxurious dash cover and plastic materials, little bits of Alcantara, that does feel even more plush than this. This is not a bad place to be, but that car versus, certainly that car versus a standard range 3, really good prospect, in my opinion. By the way, that car's got about 60,000 odd miles on it, to give you an idea of where the price sits versus mileage and stuff. So I just thought I'd address that because it's a question we get asked a lot. So I hope you've enjoyed watching. Thanks very much. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like. Gints is going to put an icon here and a thing there and some subtitles here and a load of text all over the screen, so you can, he can't be bothered to do that. So just like us, subscribe, and we'd love to hear your comments. Thank you very much.